Oh, yay! This month we're going to explore the Science of Mind, New Thought teachings in relationship to the Wizard of Oz, the metaphysical part of what the Wizard of Oz, because we know that that movie is even deeper than this talk. This is a repeat series because I love it so much. I wore my red shoes. I encourage you, we have a whole month of this. Wear red shoes if you have them.
Bring a sweater.
Yes, well, the shoes are important. It's all about the shoes, right? Has anyone not seen the movie? Well, we're showing it today. Okay. All right, whoa. Oh my gosh. Okay. So afterwards, we'll have a short, very brief discussion about the movie and, you know, the metaphysical meaning of some of those incredible parts of it. So for the whole month of October, as I said, we're going to journey to Oz to learn the spiritual truths of what Frank Baum was really talking about. And these spiritual truths pervade all of life, and they help us learn about our own lives. And next Sunday, the title of the talk would be, If I Only Had a Brain. No comments. And this morning, we're going to look at the greatest gift which we have ever been endowed with, and that's besides life itself, and that's the gift of choice. We've been endowed with this gift because most of our life forms, which are all brilliant, are all filled with consciousness because they're all God, but they don't have that gift of choice. We as humans, we have this gift of choice. And with our choices come the natural results or the consequences. That's just the way it works. Law of cause and effect. You cannot have effect without a cause. And we'll begin our journey with Dorothy as we explore the consequences of her choices, which is what we're going to find out today. So first I want to start off with but quoting from Dr. Ernest Holmes in his book, Science of Mind, because he talks about choice quite a bit during the book. We have the ability to choose what we will do with our lives and are united with a law, divine law, which will automatically produce our choices. While we do not have the ability to destroy the divine idea of ourselves, we do have the ability to deface it, to make it appear discordant. This is Holmes. There is a perfect concept of each of us, held in the mind of the universe as an already accomplished fact. But we are subject to the law of our choice. Always going to come back to, what are we choosing? We will enjoy or suffer from the consequences of it. Whether or not we make that choice consciously, because that's what's so great about these teachings, is because we are learning how to think consciously instead of creating by default, which is subconsciously, which we're doing all the time anyway. We're always creating something. Because everything has a natural result. Everything has a consequence. In fact, we could say that our lives are the natural results of the compilation of the choices that we have made. All the choices we have made in life. And you might argue, well, I didn't choose to be born into a dysfunctional family. You might say, you know, I didn't choose to be in this accident. But we like to say that in New Thought, and especially in Radical Forgiveness, that, you know, we choose our parents. So just for the sake of today, that took me a long time to get that concept, but I got it. And when I got it, I was able to do the forgiveness work, by the way. So for the sake of today, let's just say we didn't choose. We didn't know that we chose our parents. You still have the choice to respond to what takes place in life. We always have. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter how you arrive in that situation. This is the moment It's always the moment to be clear in your choice, to make a conscious choice. The situation is what it is. Things are what they are. I don't go back into my mind, and I hope you don't, saying to myself, well, what did I think to cause this? I'm a failure at New Thought. I can't even get this right. It is what it is. From that point, we get to choose how to react or to respond, right? And to react is just reaction. But to respond is conscious thought. We choose it. And sometimes I just react, but then I just jump right back into, wait a minute, conscious thought, because you can cancel out that previous thought. You really can. We have that power. The choice will automatically bring a new cause with a different outcome. Every time we choose, we're choosing a new cause. We're setting the law of divine life in action. This is the spiritual law we're talking about. We set it in action. You can choose yes. There is always a choice. And think of how many times that we've said, or I've heard people say, I don't say it anymore, I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice in the matter. Every time I hear that now, it's like a little red flag. Just like, yeah, you did, but I don't say that because some people, they're very sensitive. We have to be compassionate too, and saying, yes, you had a choice. You could have done it this way, or, you didn't have to react that way. Sometimes people have to respond or react the way that they feel. But I can no longer say I no longer had a choice. The choice will automatically bring about a new cause. And the thing about going into how did I create this, what did I think, is that we get attached to the blame game. We get attached to spiritual guilt. We get attached to being a failure yet again because look what's in my life, more turmoil. And we get stuck when we get there. So it is what it is. So be in the isness of it. Just be in the isness of it. So both the conscious and the unconscious choices Dorothy made in her life decision caused her life to spin out of control. Right? Like a tornado. Just zooming around. And it's a perfect example of the law of our lives. As Ernest Holmes calls it, he calls it the law of our lives. Another name would be the law of cause and effect. Here's a trivia question, which I know you know, Linnie Mae. What in The Wizard of Oz, what was Dorothy's last name? What?
I forget.
Anybody know?
Gale?
Gale! Brilliant.
Gale.
I wish I had an award to give. I'll give you a flower.
Dorothy
Gale. Isn't that appropriate?
Yeah.
Dorothy Gale. And what was it? I have somebody standing at my house this morning, and he didn't even hear my talk. And he as before I'm leaving the house, he goes, do you know what Dorothy's last name was? And I'm looking at him like, really, seriously? And there's two places in the movie that it's on the mailbox. And I'm thinking, how many times did you watch this movie? And at the very end of the movie, she says her name, Dorothy Gale. So we'll look for it in the movie today. So let's look briefly at Dorothy's life as the movie begins. Dorothy runs home to tell Auntie Em and Uncle Harry that mean old Miss Gulch hit Toto with a rake and threatened to involve the sheriff merely because he ran through her front lawn and chased her mean old cat. But Auntie Em and Uncle Harry don't seem to care. Don't bother us now, dear, said Uncle Henry, because he and Auntie Em at this point, we're gathering the small chicks out of the incubator and placing them under nearby from the crates and placing them under the hens. And the old incubator's gone, well, let me say it like him. The old incubator's gone bad, and we're likely to lose a lot of our chicks. But could there be something deeper going on here? Could it be that the broken incubator really could it represent Auntie Em and Uncle Henry's loveless home, where Dorothy is ignored and the incubator has gone bad, and the chick Auntie Em and Uncle Henry are about to lose is their niece, Dorothy. Dorothy's Kansas is bleak and gloomy, a gray place, and is represented in the movie by black and white. Reminds me, it reminds me actually of my own childhood in England, because it's always gray and black and white. It was never any color that I remember. And it's funny, when I put this down, it really was so, it really touched me the same way. Because I always describe it as gray and gloomy. No technicolor there, that's for sure. But anyway, it represents the love that was missing in Dorothy's life, in her world. And that it was the love that she desperately yearned for. But Auntie Em and Uncle Henry, don't seem to be capable of giving it. In fact, Auntie Em treats her niece as a nuisance and leaves her alone to make all of her own decisions. So Dorothy chooses to shower all of her affection on Toto, her little dog, right? She loves him unconditionally. And this is her giving a taste of her affection that she so craves onto another human life, not a human life, another life. So here's where Dorothy's choices get interesting. Why then would she endanger, think about this, Toto's, so weird to say Toto. How would you say it?
Toto.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Toto, okay. Anyway, she let him run on purpose through Miss Gulch's yard. She allowed this, knowing she was going to get in trouble, knowing that her beloved Toto was going to get in trouble. And Hunk, one of the farmhands, tries to get Dorothy to step back and notice her unconscious choices. He said, when you come home, don't walk past Miss Gulch's property. He tells her this, but she ignores it. She ignores it. He's trying to tell her Toto won't get in trouble, and neither will you. But Dorothy obviously wants to get into trouble. And she gets in more trouble than she bargained for, because Miss Gulch and the sheriff show up at her door. Remember that? And neither her aunt or her uncle can stop them from taking her beloved dog away. So she sacrificed, maybe you can place this in your life, she sacrificed the one thing she loved more than anything else in an attempt to get attention or love that she so craved. But she was trying to get it from people who obviously were not capable of giving it to her. They weren't capable. They didn't understand it. And at a subtler level, probably she was hurt and angry at not getting that love. Because the children do this. Really, children really don't have much choice in that. They really don't. And we see the effects later on in life when we shut down, what we do for self-preservation, what we do to get through if we're not receiving that nourishment and that love. When Toto makes his valiant escape from Miss Gulch's basket, Dorothy runs away. She runs away, and of course we know that because of the choice, she ultimately gets caught in a cyclone and winds up over the rainbow in the land of Oz, and everything becomes technicolor. This was an amazing movie. This truly was. I can't get enough of it. It really is amazing. So if you get caught in a cyclone because you ran away from home to save your dog from being destroyed by the sheriff, because you let the dog run through a mean old maid's garden, you might want to stop and ask yourself, can I afford the consequences of my life, of my choice? Can I afford, before we make any major or small decision, if we can stay conscious, can I afford the consequences? Because there always will be a consequence, good or bad, because I've gotten a lot of good consequences from some choices I made. I've got some really crappy ones from the choices that I've made. But I made the choice. Cause and effect will always take place, always. Because we don't get to have a say in the consequences. Get that? We don't have a say in the consequences. They're a direct result of our choice, of a cause. The law can only give us what we put into it. So whatever we think and feel and speak and act, the law will give us back the choices that we made. Perhaps, just perhaps, Dorothy should have stopped and thought what compelled her to let the dog run through this old maid's garden in the first place. That law of cause and effect is always working, either consciously or through default. Something was going to happen, right? Something was going to happen. We just possibly might be able to avoid the nightmarish trips over the rainbow if we make our choices conscious and if we ask those questions of ourselves. Is this really what I want? Will this choice bring me happiness? Is this a good choice to make? Just go to those. Will it bring me happiness? Will it bring me fulfillment? Will it bring me peace? Those kinds of questions we ask ourselves. Will this choice bring me peace? The answer is yes. No matter how difficult the choice is, then you make that choice. If Auntie Em and Uncle Henry do not treat you as you want them to, they could be anyone in your life. That's symbolic for anyone in your life. You could choose to feel hurt, and usually we do. We're humans. We feel hurt and rejected like Dorothy. And then you might choose to vent your anger, because that's what happens a lot, especially with children. And it happens with adults, because they learned it in childhood, to vent our anger and hostilities by torturing that symbolic Miss Gulch. You may think that Auntie Em and Uncle Henry are the cause, right? You think your parents, I used to, before I did my forgiveness work, which took me forever, but I did it, and since then I can't hold any kind of revenge or anger against people. It just slides away when you've really done the work. But I would have had such a great childhood if they would have acted this way, if they would have done this. They did this to me. The minute we hear that, we become subject to that victim consciousness, and it goes downhill, so we make a choice. My choice was, I have to really learn forgiveness, not just the theory of forgiveness, but I have to practice it. And I have to really want it, and it's going to take as long as it's going to take. But we do it so we can absolutely feel the freedom and peace that forgiveness does bring. Everybody, all the time. Doesn't mean you need to have the people in your life. I separated myself from my mother for a number of years to give myself peace. I made that choice. I made that choice to leave. I made it. And then the consequences. But it wasn't healed. So we repeat, we choose over and over again until, if we awaken, that's the gift. If we awaken and know that we can choose to be another way, no matter what, no matter what. Whenever you react impulsively to something, and I found this out, you are actually choosing the effect. So the conscious thought to respond, that conscious thought then is what is going to bring you the most power and the most peace. Because when we react impulsively, it's simply an unconscious choice. You do know, I mean, you do know here, I know you know, that you're always choosing one way or another in every single instant, in every single thought of our lives, consciously or unconsciously. If, like Dorothy, your whole life revolves around pain of not receiving that love that you so crave, then every choice is going to be about trying to get that love from someone. Or, this is the other part it could be, to protect yourself, to shut yourself down emotionally. And you're not even aware that you're doing that. And most of us have built a concrete wall around our heart. I know I did. And through years and years and years of study, brick by brick, I could physically feel the movement take place. Because I didn't want to stay numb to life anymore, right? And that's what we do to protect ourselves. But we get to a certain point in our lives when we're not able then to love. We're not able to give love. We're not able to truly receive love because we've closed the heart up so we can survive. It's a human gift, really, when we need it. But then it no longer is necessary in our lives and we still have it. So we can't really feel the love. Whenever you are upset with one person, you are saying that you believe that they are withholding some control over you, a piece of love, anything that, and it simply is not true. Nobody can withhold love from you. There is an infinite amount of that in the universe. We know that. We say that God is universal love. You could also choose to let go of the need to get the love from one particular avenue and find it elsewhere. I know there are people that just direct all of their energy on the person they think should love them, when that person is probably incapable of loving them because they don't love themselves. And so that's where we have to stand in our power and get the courage and move away from that. If it's not serving us, we make the choice to move away. Michael Myrdad writes in his book, The 7 Initiations of a Spiritual Path, this: the gifts of awakening the heart center are beyond measure. As Charles Dickens wrote, a loving heart is the truest wisdom. The opening of the heart center is synonymous with the quickening of the soul. That's important. Once you are able to love, you feel your whole spiritual life, the whole soul life open up in ways that you couldn't imagine. It is not, I'll go back to Myrdad. It is not something that can be faked or contrived, nor is it fleeting or temporary. The love of an opened heart center is real, authentic, and powerful. Okay. Moving our conversation, see, we need a teacher and the shining lights for a reason. Moving our conversation from the metaphysical to the physical for a moment. Bruce Lipton, great metaphysicist, is a research scientist, medical school professor, and author of the book, The Biology of Belief. Many of us have read. He made the amazing discovery about the biological mechanisms by which cells receive and process their information. This is where the quantum physics comes in incredibly. And I know that Rose Z in her workshops, which we know we're going to have her do another one, plus a class somehow, somewhere. Mitch Horowitz really got into this in the retreat that we were at, and it's just, we have so much more power than we could ever realize that we truly have. We really do, every cell of our being. Anyway, this is what Bruce Lipton, this is the information. He said, rather than our genes controlling us, he has discovered that our genes are in fact controlled by environmental influences outside ourselves, including our thoughts and our beliefs, the choices that we make. Every choice we make affects the cellular structure of our body. Every single cell is alive with its own intelligence. And that's the brilliance of knowing that kind of information. You can change your DNA. It's been proven. Yes. Proven over and over again. Accordingly, we are not victimized by biological inheritances from our ancestors. Well, my parents always did this, or this is the way. That's old stuff. We rebuild our body every year. We're rebuilding it cell by cell. We're rebuilding it to the smallest degree within our body over again. So what are we telling ourselves? What are we telling our bodies? I have this pain, I have this ache, I have this illness. When I was healing my back, my whole spine and my knees and everything, I would just say that my body is healing, my body is healing. And we make a groove in our consciousness by over and over again telling ourselves that I am whole, complete, and perfect. I am healing in every way, every day. I am healing, I am healing. The cells start to respond to that, and healing does occur. It's how it works. And this new science, which is about at least, if not much longer, 27 years old, only recently became known as epigenetics. Until the discovery of epigenetics, and I know it's gone way beyond that. It was believed that the cell's nucleus, which contained the DNA, was pre-programmed, so to speak, and was the brain of the cell, quite necessary for its functioning. However, science is starting to catch up with. Ernest Holmes knew all this. He knew all this, and so did all the other New Thought. The Fillmores knew this. My goodness, she cured herself of an incurable disease, and while doing so built the Unity Village and the Unity Movement, which is humongous. It's no small thing, it's huge. And she did this through one thought in her body, healing herself. And she did it. She didn't even see any illness. So science is now catching up with this philosophy, this spirituality, and has discovered that cells can live and function quite well, even after their nuclei are removed. The real brain of the cells is this membrane, which reacts and responds to outside influences. This is all from Bruce Lipton. Dynamically adjusting to every changing environment. As human beings, we are a collection of cells. That's what we are. We're a collection of moving energy. And within that moving energy is that divine consciousness. That's the space at the very center of every cell that is. It's the space that's always there because it's the consciousness of this universal energy that we call God. So what does this mean for us then? It means that as we encounter various environmental influences, we tell our genes what to do unconsciously. And you've seen people, and then, you all know this, but I don't really watch much TV, not because I don't like it, because I do like it, but I don't watch TV with commercials. And so when I'm subject to viewing commercials, like in an office somewhere where you're waiting, I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked at the medical drugs and depression, and then the side effects. I'm like, what, are you kidding me? Oh, may cause death. All right, and they got people singing and music playing in the background. And I'm like, people are numb. They no longer hear it, but it's being programmed into their cellular structure. This is being programmed into us. It's really, I don't know, it's not the greatest thing. So a few years ago, here's the American Cancer Society. They released a surprising statistic. They said that 60% of all cancer is avoided by a change in diet and lifestyle. Whoa. In other words, it's making different choices. Choosing not to eat this, choosing to be active, choosing to exercise, choosing what you're going to ingest into your body. They never said that before. In other words, by making those different choices, and this is an organization that for the past 15 years has been looking for the cancer gene. They've been looking for this cancer gene and they haven't found it. Wonder why? And now they're saying it's not so much the cancer gene as it is our lifestyle, how we, and that's a really good, people don't hear it though, because those commercials are still playing, and those commercials are running people's lives. But it's all about the choices we make. So perhaps it's time we quit going through life, making bad, I have to do this, bad, because sometimes our souls need that lesson, choices, and bringing in those misgulches in our life, like Dorothy did, making that choice of letting her beloved pet run all over and chase Miss Gulch's mean old cat. And we will have to deal, if we do that, we have to deal with the natural results, the consequences of those choices that we make. And so I want to wind this up. And I want to finish with a quote from Ernest Holmes. We cannot live a choiceless life. Every day, every moment, every second, there is a choice. So today, choose whom will serve you. Will you serve love, happiness, peace, power, plenty? In other words, will you serve the divine good, God? You get to decide, he writes. And remember to ask yourself this question to keep yourself from going unconscious. Can I afford the consequences of this choice? Can I afford the consequences of this, and will this choice bring me happiness? Will it serve me? You must ask yourself those. If you don't know the answer to the question you're asking because you're choosing, just ask yourself, will this serve me? Is this for my highest good? Simply that, is this for my highest good? Because the universal law of God knows your highest good. So let all of us just make those conscious choices in life that bring about that happiness that we so really want in our lives, that peace and that love and that abundance that we talk about all the time. Just be conscious of the choice. Thank you.